Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Chromaniacs post-match show live on YouTube. I'm Craig Elston, joined live at Snapdragon Stadium by my Chromaniac, Tony Sanchez. What's going on, Tony?
Well, an emotional day here at Snapdragon Stadium post-match, and a match that honestly seemed like it was all tidied up and done by halftime by Vancouver. So the story ends here at the Western Conference Finals for San Diego FC in a historic inaugural season for them. And I mean, it's been very fun along the way, and including tonight as they fought. It wasn't enough tonight.
Alex Pena sends his regards. Apparently still in traffic on the way home. So he will not be joining us, at least at the start of this post-match show. But we're here with you. We appreciate everybody who is joining us late on a Saturday evening, washing away the pain of it and getting together to chat. SDFC. What a season for San Diego FC. And, you know, Tony, as we said before we hit record and went live, there's all sorts of ways to have your season come to an end. And one of those ways is a heartbreaking loss in penalties or a disputed handball that winds up being something that you talk about for 25 years, right? Maybe a magical moment of incredible individual brilliance. Well, other times a team is disconnected from the start. One team just has the edge on the other, and you get clinically smacked. And that's what happened tonight. Vancouver Whitecaps FC gets to go on to face Inter Miami and face Lionel Messi in what might be the most geographically distant MLS Cup ever, Vancouver to Miami. I'm not exactly sure if it's true, but it's got to be close if it's not. Nonetheless, there's really not a lot of hard feelings after a match like this. San Diego FC has had a magical season, as great an inaugural season as you could ever have. And what does it end up with? A trip to the Western Conference Final. And within it, Vancouver won. Fair and square, pay them their money, send them on their way.
Yeah, and I mean, it was out the get-go where you really felt Vancouver have that high pressure and apply it to the young backline. And they've been stellar this entire playoff run, this entire season, including the game where they saw Vancouver, that saw the youngest backline in MLS history in that match that San Diego FC ended up winning. So it's you just faced a really good team, and in going back in that first goal, right? It's almost anticipatory the way that Vancouver was able to dispossess San Diego FC and really move forward in the final third. And since that moment, the confidence meter for the team just started going down, 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 and then conceding a second goal after that. It was way too much anímicamente, just emotionally for the squad to really recover, at least in the first half.
Hey, when you get down 2-0 10 minutes into a match, you can look at it a couple of different ways, right? Hey, we've got 80 minutes to come back is a true and real thing. The other thing is, whoops, now we're in so much trouble. And they were. But 3-0 is the death of it. You know, when you're down 3-0 at the half, now you know, and we absolutely saw that San Diego FC had to throw all the spaghetti at the wall. They brought everybody forward. They made every offensive substitution they could. Defenders were playing up. Everybody is moving up. And as a result, you're going to get stretched back the other way. It's kind of crazy that they didn't concede. Again, there were a couple of incredible plays made by the young defense in the second half to keep other goals going in. But once SanDiego gets a red card, we wind up getting a weird loyal reunion Duran Ferree appearance in the Western Conference Final, you know, which was fun. But at that point, it's all she wrote, because Vancouver has the ability to play back, wait for you, anticipate, and dispossess.
And for Vancouver, like, this is the team that really, you know, in any sport, at least for me personally, it always makes the most sense to have 1 versus 2 to go to see who's the best in any sense. So from a sports aspect, this is how it's meant to go down. And Vancouver, who only lost the first place because they lost against Dallas, otherwise they should have been the first seed going into the playoffs. And that could have been different and been spelled different for San Diego FC on that end. But ultimately, this is a team in Vancouver that San Diego FC faced that was destined. They came to win this match here. This is not a let's see how it goes. Vancouver came with the plan. They came, they executed, and did very well against the San Diego team that really just, it wasn't the best night. And you'll hear Mikey Vadas really just point to that San Diego FC just wasn't on their best night tonight, and they were a little bit slow perhaps on transitions too. And that midfield was won by Vancouver, and that kind of dictated how this match was just going, and the momentum was halted anytime that the ball traveled through the midfield. Galoy comes off early in the first at halftime, excuse me. But ultimately, it's just that gut punch that really kind of cemented the feeling and emotion of Snapdragon Stadium here.
With all of the discussion of Thomas Muller, I mean, it's Brian White, the guy who it was at the beginning of the year, the guy who wound up with 16 goals in the regular season, who comes up with the big spots just by being a center forward, being in the right place at the right time, no dramatic strikes. All of the goals for Vancouver come on turnovers from San Diego FC within their defensive third. And, within a few yards of the 18, that's what happened. And it was Pilcher dispossessed on goal number 1. It was Bombino turnstiled on goal number 2. And Bombino again beaten to a spot on goal number 3. So, the high pressure of Vancouver, incredibly effective. And little tiki-taka passing, bing, bang, boom. Every single member of the defensive back line had something to do with that first goal conceded. Only to say it was an emphatic loss. And Vancouver gets to advance. San Diego FC's season comes to an end and allows, I think, all of us, without the dramatic heartbreak, that feeling of, of getting stabbed in the chest. Instead, this was more of a throttling. So I feel it gives us even more of a chance just to kind of appreciate the journey that has been for San Diego FC's fans, for the supporters of this team. I was so impressed with the way the North End kept it rolling all the way through to the very end of the match. Down 3-0 at halftime. Sure, some fans left, but you know what? Most of the fans stuck around. And when that goal came in for Chucky, when that lovely chip with, honestly, Vancouver's keeper losing his balance as well, when that goes into the net, the place was crazy for the next 10, 15 minutes. You really did think, okay, there's a path here. Score another one in the next quarter hour and really put the pressure on Vancouver down the stretch. Once Cisniega gets his red card, though, it's all she wrote.
Yeah, and it was interesting seeing just the amount of time that Chucky was given just right at the half and how offensively minded Mikey was. And that's, I think, the difference here, too, that there was a divergence from Right to Dream play style from what we've seen. And asking, actually, Chiva asked Yeppe here in the post-match, like, hey, you had to abandon that. What was that like? And Yeppe was like, yep, good eye. Like, that's exactly what happened here. And we had to play a way that we're not used to playing, and really trying to find balls aerially and just trying to find different ways, especially after you mentioned, Cisniega goes off, you lose a player, you have to kind of scramble in there and just trying to find a way. But that's kind of the limitation of a play style that is dictated by so heavily by just how things are meant to be in there. There's no real room to be dynamic, and there's no real room to even practice being dynamic because the way that you were playing was getting the job done. So in one way, it's like, okay, well, how were they supposed to prepare to be more dynamic and adapt to a game and maybe go into a four up front and just how to control that offense and really make it worthwhile. But they haven't been in that position. So you're asking an impossible task for San Diego FC to not only climb back up, but to really try to find some cohesive play with that, with the heart rate going up, because you can tell that there was a desperation, and there's something that this play style lends itself sometimes is to say, hey, maybe they're a little bit too pedantic. They were a little bit too slow, a little bit too caught in their style passing, like nothing actually happens. But you can tell there was a sense of urgency after the 2-0, and that was very refreshing to see. They were fighting through and through, and that's one thing that I will give credit to San Diego FC. They were fighting through and through, and there was a true belief that this could have been 3-3 with a drop of a dime.
Yeah, I think SDFC showed well in their fighting spirit. I think they showed well in their persistence and commitment to the match. There were just failures on the back end of the defense, which led to 3 goals that you wouldn't expect more than one of those, I think, to have happened in a more regular match flow. But then you get to the other side of it. And our friend Choppies was right next to me in the supporters section. And I remember in the last 10, 15 minutes of the first half, he was saying, what do they need to do? What do they need to do? What needs to happen? And I kept saying, Anders needs to score. Because if Anders scores, the talisman is activated. 16 wins, 1 draw, no losses. Dreyer scores. Everybody feels the excitement of the moment. Everybody feels the belief. And Vancouver wanted to make absolutely 100% sure that Anders Dreyer didn't score tonight. He really worked hard. He kept jumping lanes. You could see him on the left, jumping into the middle, on the right, jumping into the middle, just whatever he could do, trying to scramble his way into opportunities. I thought Dreyer played his tail off tonight, but there was no space for the ice cream man to deliver.
Yeah, and again, very much a lot of credit for Vancouver there, but also just kind of disappointing in Pellegrino's output because, again, you've been able to see him develop into this lethal striker, lethal forward on the left side, drifting him towards the middle. And the last 2 games, honestly, I think there was a little bit left to be desired by him, but obviously, you have to make the adjustments throughout the match, and he was the sacrificial piece. But then also, you go into your bench and you have Luca de la Torre, and I don't think anybody kind of felt the needle move at all offensively whenever he came in, and I think that's kind of a reflection of the rest of the season. At this point, might as well have thrown Tomas Angel in there as well, right? Like, I think that's something that, in general, could have used a little bit more time to develop chemistry and time in that play style, but they were fighting towards the end. And again, it was really cool to see just the way that, outside of the pitch, the city was able to unite with this team and how it reflected them. And even again, the thunderclap at the beginning of the game, just the entire stadium.
Incredible.
It echoed here at Snapdragon Stadium. And through and through, there was that belief in the crowd. And they were in it. Again, the crowd and the team were in it. And I think this game was also a reflection of how much they have been fighting this entire season and what's to come. Really, this is year 1. It's an incredible year 1, and I think that's the biggest thing to take from here too. That's the baseline. Now they can find the layers and be more dynamic within their play style. Now these players know each other for more than 12 months. Now these players are coming together and knowing the tendencies of each other. But again, off-season discussion, because that's it. It is off-season discussion. No trip to Fort Lauderdale for San Diego FC. It's going to be Vancouver versus Miami in the MLS Cup final.
Let's get to what seems like it might be one of the storylines that we'll see in the newspaper tomorrow. And as such, it'll get picked up by the radio shows. And that means the TV shows will start asking about it as well. And that's Chucky Lozano. Chucky gets subbed in the second half, starts the second half for San Diego, scores San Diego's only goal. And I was really surprised, although maybe naively so, definitely naively so as I reflect upon it, to be honest, Tony, to get a text from you as you're down there, in the press area, listening to what's going on, saying, here come the hit pieces on Chucky Lozano. Here come the negative questions about Chucky Lozano. So I kind of want to just address this head on the surface level. Chucky Lozano lost his starting job at halftime of the Houston Dash game. That's a thing that happened, right? Or Houston Dynamo. Houston Dash is NWSL. Yeah. Sorry. It's been a long week. It wasn't the Houston Dash game, but it was at the Houston Dynamo game where he lost his starting job. There was a suspension that followed, and then he earned his way back into the graces of the club. And meanwhile, Amal Pellegrino was playing great. And Corey Baird had the winning assist in the last match. So, to me, Mikey Vadas ran with his front line that had gotten him through the last 3 matches of the season to get to the Western Conference regular season title, to get him through Portland, and to get through Minnesota. And he said, this is our system. We talked about it after the last match where he said Pellegrino will start, right, the rest of the playoffs. And Chucky accepted the bench role. And then he came in and played his butt off tonight, and he scored the goal, and he was running around and racing. So why is it Chucky's fault that San Diego FC lost? I truly don't understand. Is it because he makes the most money? And most money means most expectations. So if they lost, Chucky should have scored more. Can't score from the bench. You can't. The coach put him on the bench. And the coach knows his team better than anybody around, including guys who follow college basketball teams around and port in to cover finals. Like, I'm sorry. I just don't see how somebody from the outside can say it's Chucky's fault.
Yeah, I mean, is it a contributing factor that maybe had he been in better form and been able to play since Houston and been with the team, that he would have been fine and sharper here in playoffs? Potentially. But the reality is that the player that got San Diego FC to this Western Conference final was Amal Pellegrino. And not only from his play last game or the game before, it's his time with San Diego FC. He was able to make an impact, so much so that it didn't necessarily bench Chucky because of his play, although it would have been warranted for him to dethrone Chucky from this position just based on play. But at the end of the day, Chucky Lozano made a choice in a crucial point and effectively took himself out. And from there, there's really nothing else that can be done. There were, the team it's moved forward. And again, they had to adapt to it, and they adapted. And much like the team the entire season, when they have to make that adaptation in some way or shape or fashion, they're able to do it tenfold better and become a better team after that. Whenever they had a loss, boom, able to bounce back and correct those mistakes. I mean, look at the season that a player like Ian Pilcher has. Starting in Austin, making the biggest blunder in his debut that he can possibly make against a grown man of Brandon Vasquez away, to then having what ended up being probably one of the greatest plays in San Diego sports history in stopping that shot on the line. That's an incredible. We can talk about the game today, sure, but overall, like, this team was built to win, as Mikey Vadas says. He makes his lineup for the victory of the upcoming match, and in that, the game script dictated that it needed to be Amal Pellegrino, and he stuck to his guns, and he was honest and clear about it throughout. You know what? Let's give Chucky 45 minutes. It's clearly this game has gotten out of hand, and we need to switch something. Then that's when Lozano comes on.
Yeah, it's what's the right word? Backseat driving, in NFL Monday morning quarterbacking to say Chucky should have started the game. If SDFC comes out and gets a goal in the first half, nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks that. The reason SDFC was not in this match is because of their defense. Period. It's not because of their offense. It's because their defense put them down 2-0 11 minutes into the match. So at that point, throw everything out the window. At that point, Vancouver's 95% to win the match. And it's going to take something incredibly dramatic for everything to change. And Mikey threw a bunch of subs out there in the second half. Chucky was the one who scored. So, yes, he's a designated player. Yes, he makes more than other players on the team. Do you know what that doesn't count against? The salary cap. Because he's a designated player. Chucky Lozano jerseys are omnipresent at Snapdragon Stadium. He's the one in the MLS pre-roll when they start the Apple TV broadcast. He is a face. He's the guy that was out at the Rady Shell when they had the big thing, right? It was for Chucky. Anders has played incredible this year. And Soccer being the way it is, Tony, you know as well as me that next year Chucky Lozano could score 18 goals with 19 assists, and Anders Dreyer could have 5 goals and 11 assists, or something like that. Get completely game planned out of the attack in certain ways. So I feel like it's a lot of like misplaced, misdirected vitriol going at number 11. He's earned his money. Look at the sellout crowds. Okay. Look at the jerseys that are in the sellout crowd. And he accepted his demotion. He's played hard every single game he's come in. And it's the coach's decision to play him the way he has. So if you want to get mad at somebody, get mad at Mikey for not starting Chucky Lozano and not playing him 90 minutes of every one of these matches. But if you do so, then you have to answer the question, okay, who are you taking out? Were you going to take out Baird? Because Pellegrino doesn't want to play the middle. And that didn't really work. Pellegrino didn't do anything once Baird came out of the game, once he got taken off the wing. Are you going to take Pellegrino out of the game? The guy who's powered you through the playoffs? Then you lose a knockout game, and then everybody blames Chucky. Pellegrino should have started. I would have never done that. Point is, these guys are paid to make these calls. We're there to cheer and support the team. And I'm not saying that you can fan any way you want. You can have any opinion you want. I'll tell you what I think. I just don't see it here. I see this as an incredible run for San Diego FC, a wonderful dream season that comes to a thudding halt with a definitive loss that allows you to say, okay, that's where the run ended. That's where year one ended. It ended at home. And, one step short of MLS Cup. So let's enjoy the very short offseason. We Chromaniacs will continue to talk through it, and get ready for year number 2 in 2026.
Yeah. And I see a lot of these points in the chats, like obviously like just there's a lot of good offseason discussions and discussion points, but in general, that the fact is that if there's one place that everybody should agree, and I know like it's Mikey, it's Bele, it's Chucky's attitude, and he should be doing better. If you want somebody to blame Vancouver. They beat San Diego FC. There you go. There's somebody to blame. San Diego FC faced Vancouver, who was the better team tonight and deserved to go to the MLS Cup final. Period. That's it. That's you face the better team, and on any given, you play on Monday. What is this? Saturday today? Yeah, any given day, it can be anybody's play here in MLS, and I think that's the part where a lot of people are just going to start to get used to and seeing, and this is what this is like. This is the MLS experience that everybody was wanting, and if the MLS experience for anybody, even in the chat, who's disappointed, who's sad, who's happy and hopeful that next year, this is what it's like. And so, welcome to the in the Sanskrit, it's the wheel of samsara, the just rebirth and death and rebirth over and over again. This is what MLS is, and the death of San Diego FC season comes tonight, unfortunately, and it hell of a season.
It was an incredible season. It was a season that surpassed expectations. And I'll say it one more time, and we'll get to some post-match sounds. After every one of these playoff matches, at some point, I've said to one of you guys, or to I can't believe they're doing it with this young a defensive line. Like, it's even more incredible to think that they've achieved so much with a back four that's so young. And outside of McVay, so little experience. And I think we can now look at it a lot more analytically in the rearview mirror and say Portland didn't have enough attack to take advantage. Minnesota doesn't even really try to attack. They couldn't take advantage. Vancouver, they had enough. They have the attack. They have the ability to be on the ball, to create. They've got wingers that are effective. They've got Mueller in the middle to draw the attention. They've got White to finish things up front. And on this night, that young defense got owned. I mean, absolutely owned this evening. I think all of them in moments of candor would say the same thing. And it's not to rip them or say they don't have an incredibly bright future. But on this one night, the carriage turned into a pumpkin. for San Diego FC, and the magic run came to a very quick end.
Where everybody saw luck running out in real time in that second goal. Any other point of the season, Manodua clears that ball. Any other point of the season, that gets cleared. But you saw just luck running out that way, and guess what? At the end of the day, don't worry, San Diego FC fans. CONCACAF Champions is on its way, and all the moves of MLS that December's window brings is going to come back soon, and roster moves. So there's that to look forward to very, very soon for San Diego FC as well.
Yeah, the offseason is barely an offseason at all. It's more like a pit stop before they have to jump right back out there and keep going. Let's keep going ourselves and hear from people other than ourselves on the Chromaniacs post-match show. Of course, we should start with the head coach and hear what Mikey Vadas had to say after this one.
We'll start with questions in English first. While I have questions in Spanish, we'll start in the front row. Right, if you have a question, raise your hand, we'll bring the mic over. Tony?
Thank you for your time, Mikey. Could you go ahead and just detail through this match, just the game flow and just what ended up being, how Vancouver ended up being able to come over on top tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think details are for later, but it clearly wasn't our best night. They had a very good night. We got out. They won the game, so it was proud though that the guys didn't give up. Came out and down 0-3. You get to decide who you are in that moment. These guys came out and kept fighting, got the 1-3, you got the red card, you make it 2-3. And I think that we all believed that we were going to make it 3-3 until the final whistle.
And then could you just detail us through some of that halftime words for your team as well as post-game, and then what it meant for you and the squad to be serenaded by the fans here at the end?
Yeah, I mean, the fans were the best tonight. They showed up, and they were great. They pushed us along even in a hard moment. Halftime was a similar statement. It's like, listen, this is what life's asking of us. Down 0-3, who are we? We decide who we are. It's easy to be who you want to be when things are good, but a true measure is when life kicks you in the teeth. What do you do?
Scott?
What was your message to the team when you were in there afterwards?
The message was we gotta take this head on and know that it wasn't our best night and that they had a good night. And that starts with me. First and foremost, I'm always the first. Proud that the group kept fighting and tried everything possible to show that relentless mentality and belief that we could get the 3-3. We really believed it all the way till the end. That I know that this hurts, but nobody can take away the season that these guys did. Nobody can ever take that away from them. And I think they made a city dream. They made the whole region dream. We were one step away from MLS Cup. And 12 months ago, we were all introducing ourselves. And then ultimately, this hurts really bad right now. And it's not time for details. It really isn't. It's not time for details, but what we can all agree on is that each and every one of us is going to carry this a little bit with us. We're going to carry it with us and use it as motivation to come back even stronger next season.
Head coach Mikey Vadas, after this 3-1 loss to Vancouver this evening downstairs, and you can hear the pain in his voice, Tony, but I think maybe instead of kind of the anger and lashing out, just hear the resignation in that. They didn't have a good night. Vancouver had a really good night. This is what happens. I remember going back to the Purple lot, being asked, what do you expect? What do you, in a big match, a big soccer match, the first thing that I look for is either side rattled? Is either side disconnected, discombobulated in any way? When you've got two great teams going head-to-head, and I do think SDFC qualifies as a great team in MLS this year, a great team. when you've got two great teams going head to head, if one is discombobulated, the game's going to be a blowout. It's going to be a rout score because the other team is going to show their excellence, capitalize on your mistakes. Once you get ahead 2 in soccer, once you get ahead 3 in soccer, it's almost impossible for the other team to come from behind. This isn't, baseball where you're going to have the lineup bat around or something. They get to structure their defense and stop attacking and pull everyone back into the defensive third. So it becomes extremely, extremely hard. If both teams were locked in, it would have come down to 1 or 2 moments of incredible brilliance, individual effort, individual scoring. But it didn't happen that way this night because San Diego FC gave up 2 goals on pressure in the defensive half in the first 11 minutes of the match, and that completely changed everything. So anything that follows offensively in terms of this guy did nothing, that guy did nothing, this guy did nothing, none of that matters because they were down 2-0 in the 11th minute. That's all that matters. That allowed Vancouver to change everything.
Yeah, and like going back to that individuality, right? It was that individual moment with Chucky taking that chance, taking that shot that ends up being the goal. And that's not how San Diego FC plays, though. They're not the individualistic style. And once you start breaking it down into and divulging really out of your style of play into a more desperate, just high octane, high output, high risk, low reward, especially with the score line, 3-1, like, yeah, you can score 1, but that mountain is pretty much the same size, unless you score 1 right after. But this team loses and wins as a team, and Mikey Vadas is right there also just to take accountability for it and saying, yeah, it starts with me as well. Like that, this at the end of the day starts as me looking after, being a good coach in a post match and protecting his players as well. Saying like, hey, it starts with me, guys.
Who's the next guy we got queued up for post-match sound?
We got Chucky Lozano, who will be asked in English. Then he'll be told that question in Spanish, and then he'll answer in Spanish, and then we'll also hear the translation for that.
And then you've got these subtitles on the bottom anyway, so.
Yeah, let's see how good of a job Chiva did for this one.
All right, well, let's check it out.
Sana will answer in Spanish.
Translate.
We'll translate all the English questions. Go ahead.
Irving, could you just take me through tonight's match as you come in as a substitute and you were able to get an important goal at that moment? Was there really a belief that this was a chance to perhaps start?
Pues sí, el chiste era ese, ¿no? El chiste del cambio era tratar de hacer algo diferente para el equipo. Era un momento difícil porque íbamos 3-0, pero bueno, ahí tratamos de hacerlo lo mejor posible. Cayó temprano el gol y bueno, eso dio un plus para el equipo, pero bueno, es fútbol, ¿no? Ellos van muy bien, tienen un gran equipo y bueno, nos enfrentamos a un equipo importante y bueno, así es, ¿no? Así es el fútbol.
Go ahead, Mark.
Chucky, you came.
Essentially, Chucky there saying that, yeah, no, that goal came at an important moment. I was really looking forward to bringing that energy back up and having that hope. And yeah, at that moment, yeah, there was that belief that this can turn around and be that catalyst to move forward and potentially tie this game and move. And that's essentially just that energy that he was able to bring there. He was, asked about his future with the club and just his future after. And, he said that he's thankful for what he was able to do and achieve this season. He came out of the season with health. And it was thanks to San Diego FC that he was able to make his return to the national team as well. So overall, just positives. And so looking towards next season, what that's going to look like. For right now, Chucky Lozano just feeling the pain as anybody else, and potentially, regretting maybe not being in a better position to help the team contribute with more time on the field. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where Lozano is right now. And kudos to be able to have your DP, stick their chin out here after a loss and an elimination from a playoff game as well.
Yeah. And all the questions about Chucky's future will be determined in the future. This is match day. This is match day, and the team lost. And it wasn't Chucky Lozano's fault or anything to do with his effort or really even his presence within the lineup or not the lineup. They were down 3-0 at the half. Chucky wasn't going to be playing in the back. So that wasn't going to change anything. Vancouver used a high press. It's funny. You said, Tony, it reminded you of last night's soccer's match that we called. Empire kept using a high press and overwhelming and pinning in the team in their own defensive third. And those things were happening in the opening 15 minutes. You know, if you wanted to roll through Excuse Town, Vancouver had 2 extra days rest. You know, they played on a Saturday. We played on a Monday. And then they got to play on a Saturday. Maybe they had a little more burst in their legs if you wanted to sift through the Target excuse bin and see if you can get a 2-for-1 special over here. Sometimes in this veteran sports talker's opinion, sometimes it's not anybody's fault. Sometimes you just got beat. And so it's everybody's fault. What do you want to do? Run Ian Pilcher out of town? Ian Pilcher got beat for goal number 1. Ian Pilcher, might have a mural for his play to get us to that conference final. You want to run Bombino out of town? This might have been Bombino's worst game as a member of the Azzurri Chrome. You're going to run him out of town? If you want to play the long game, it might be good news. Maybe Europe's like, hey, you can hang on to him for a year or two. We'll let you keep developing that young man. We're not going to try and take him from you just yet. So sometimes you just get beat. Vancouver came to play. SDFC didn't. The season ends. Could have ended against Portland. Could have ended with a wonderful inaugural campaign that ended with a club that was a little bit below 500 and just didn't make the playoffs, or made it as the 9 seed and lost in the play-in game. Like, there were so many different paths for the first year of San Diego FC. And what they did was set a road record, set an inaugural season expansion team record for wins, for points. Win in this new era where they're like, oh, well, the expansion teams, they're so loaded. Yeah, LAFC was loaded. They lost in the first round. St. Louis City FC was loaded. They lost in the first round. SDFC won in the first round. Okay, well, Minnesota's going to take you out. No, they didn't. We won. And they had the opportunity to host Vancouver here today. Such a special moment to see 3.5 hours before the game. The trolley already full, leaving from Grossmont on the way to the stadium, to see how many people came out of the woodwork today to be a part of the Western Conference final. This city electrified the imagination of the sports populace once again and taught them that soccer is a thing that you can get behind and roll with a club and get into a playoff run and get excited and get mad at the end and look for people to blame and yeah, all you Charger fans, it's a familiar feeling, right? Like, yeah, you can refill your cup with this sport and experience some of those feelings. Hopefully not too many like this, but year one, if there's one person in this listening and viewing audience right now that on March 1st, when the Apple TV Sunday Night Soccer theme started rolling, said MLS Cup or bust, I'm not going to be happy with the Western Conference final. Like, I'm not going to be happy with first place expansion records, a berth in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and a trip to the Western Conference final and hosting the Western Conference final and selling out 4 playoff matches in the exact same time that the tenants that rent you this place couldn't get 6,000 people in, 15,000 people in for a football game. Like, everybody would have taken this result back on March 1st. It always hurts to get to the end, though, Tony.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people that are just learning about the sport, and this is the beauty of it, man. This is like legitimately the beauty of soccer, and it's the heartbreak. And there's, in this league, 29 runners up, and in that, if you make it 4th or I guess even 3rd, technically, in chronologically speaking, this is a fantastic season by all stretch and measures, and leaps and bounds. And really cementing that this works in this league. This system works in this league, and it's something that's going to keep getting better, and it's something that the team and Tyler Heaps will have more experience. I mean, top to bottom, right? I always talk about just giving credit to just everybody who works at the club, from photographers, from the communications, the comms, the just people who work at 18 Threads. Like, this is legitimately a team effort. And at the end of the day, everybody's going to come back and bounce back after a year one with a much more experience than they would have had the year before. Even the people who are coming from other MLS teams and are here, whether it's in the human performance division, different coaches, different players with different experiences. Now there's a belief and there's a foundation laid for this team moving forward that every single San Diegan should be proud of, because this is a team that, you know what, to their credit, and it can be a marketing ploy, it could be anything but a reflection of the city. That's what they were doing, and they did a pretty darn good job, especially soccer ops in this first year. So I'll offer the city of San Diego to be proud of, from 619-760 to 858, like everybody in between, maybe even some 664 in Tijuana. But hey, look, it was a bad day for the region too. Cholos Quintles lost 5-0. Like, rough.
The Sockers lost at home last night. Regional soccer, just shit weekend. Let's just admit it. It was not a good one. Do we have any more post-match sound?
Yeah, we got Captain Yepes Verskov.
Of course. Let's hear it.
Okay, could you just go ahead and detail me through this game? In the first half, Vancouver seemed to have good anticipation, especially on that first goal for them, and then what it meant to be able to try to fight through, play better in that second half.
Yeah, it was obviously a tough first half for us. Yeah, I feel like they were clever in the press, and they try to sneak on us a little bit and not go too early and wait for the perfect pass. And yeah, it became too hectic and made it a very difficult start for us, going behind 1 and then 2-0 after 10-15 minutes. We had to climb a mountain also because they are so good as they are. So yeah, it was kind of it was a tough start for us. It's easy to say, but yeah, we kept on going.
And then having the season end the way as it did tonight, what are your overall thoughts of not only tonight's match, but just MLS and your experience in general, and what it felt like to be serenaded by the fans here at the end?
Yeah, that means a lot. Obviously, I think they could see also that we were very disappointed. We haven't had a game like this almost throughout the whole season, especially coming so bad from the start as we did today. So yeah, I think they could feel us. We felt them, their support after the game, so that means a lot. But of course, it's tough right now for us.
Don't need to hear anything else, honestly. Everyone's hurting. They tried their best, and it wasn't nearly enough tonight. It wasn't close to enough. This wasn't a close match. So you can say everything else and go through the 5 stages. I think I've already kind of fast forwarded to acceptance. I think by the time the third goal went in, I was pretty firmly in acceptance already. Like, be cool if it happened. It'd be a miracle. It'd be, it'd be worth a $3,000 plane trip to to try and find your way to MLS Cup and back, because that would be that type of all-time moment. That's why I stuck around to the very end, also because when you're in the North End and the team is losing in a playoff match, that's not the time to check out early to make sure you're home for the podcast. It's our last chance to stay behind the team, our last chance to show them that this is why we're here. It's not expecting you. We're not with you win or draw. We're with you win or lose. And I was really, really excited. And this is kind of what I want to wrap up with as they're trying to play you out too. I can see behind you. I was, SDFC soccer ops, incredible year. SDFC marketing really did a great job all year long. Were there missteps along the way here and there? There always are for a new organization, for a new front office. But something they did at the beginning of the year, I was really glad they did at the end of the year. Instead of a parade of influencers to carry the big lighted ball, today it was one of the key supporters, one of the guys who went to all the matches, home and road, one of us. And that got all of us so excited. And then when it was time to sing the national anthem, it wasn't, Grammy recording artist and American Idol finalist, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, it was just the North End is going to sing. And I thought that was so cool and so community. And in that moment, I actually almost started like tearing up. Like, it is so organic and grassroots. And that's what soccer culture is. That's what soccer supporter culture is. And to see the electricity of that thought, that dream, that inspiration, the thing that was talked about in meetings back in 2017, covering a USL championship team's thoughts of coming into fruition, like all of those, to see it like a virus envelop the entire stadium and have everybody doing the thunderclap and everybody as part of the culture of this team. That's what's beautiful about soccer. Soccer is community. Soccer is culture. It's people coming together. And it's not is it paid for by the billionaires? You know it is. Okay? You know it is. Go to the Premier League and go right here. And you know it is. But it's not for them. It's not for them. It's for us. And because of that, the one thing that was a record scratch for me was when the game began and the thunderclap was rolling. All of a sudden, the camera's cut, and there's Mohamed Mansour in front of the North End, as if he was orchestrating the thunderclap. And we're very thankful for the money and for the team, Mohamed, and really appreciative of everything you've done. But you were not leading the thunderclap. You were following along. You were following along. And they also had some influencers down there, some dude in a cowboy hat and whatever. And I'm sure somebody with a big Instagram following. And it's like, we don't need any of you guys. You're following what we're doing. And thank you for enjoying what we're doing. The people will continue to power this team. The billionaires will pay for it. The people will power the culture that drives San Diego FC forward and drives San Diego, the soccer city, forward. So that's all. I was so proud of the club to make the decision to have a supporter carry the ball and to have the supporters do the anthem. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, there were some hard lessons that had to be learned even before the season started, before any players were announced for this club. And there have been times where I've been very critical of that. And I think it's because, and I think this is something that I've been clear through and through as to the why, right? Soccer in San Diego was here before San Diego FC, before San Diego Loyal, San Diego Wave, before the stadium, before anything else. It's always been here. It's always lived here. And for me, I've always wanted that to be respected. Soccer in San Diego to be respected and put, if any, on any podium, put on the highest one where it deserves to be, because we've been knowing what's here in this region. We've been knowing what this city is capable of, what this region is capable of, what the people are capable of. And like you said, this is the people's team. And hopefully that just carries through. And shout out to Frontera San Diego for being able to carry this team through the first season as an independent institution and organization and supporter group. And that's beautiful as well. I support independent, unions outside of soccer. Just go people, right? But to be able to put this together and come here and feel, like collectively feel, whether it's sadness, whether it's joy, whether it's exaltation after a Chucky goal, like everybody was on that same wavelength, and that's just special to see. Like as cynical as we can be, and the billionaires, and it's it's the beautiful game, but gets tainted by whatever. That's modern sports. That's modern sports, as much as we want to hate it or love it. I mean, look, Petco Park had WWE with the wrestling ring with Riyadh season right in the middle. So, it's all for naught at this point, but let's enjoy what we have. That's the thing. Let's enjoy what's here and make it your own. And if it's not that, always be able to give pushback, because it needs to be a team effort and a people effort first, especially with the sport of soccer.
With that, we head into the off season. And on Monday, SanDiego.Futbol's Two Balls and a Mic will be there to break it all down. On Wednesday, Tony and I will have Soccer's Overtime. You want to talk about a loss that makes you mad? Wasn't this one? It was the one the night before.
I'm not recovered yet. I'm not recovered yet.
I know. We'll talk about it all live Wednesday at 6 p.m. With Soccer's Overtime. We'll be back out there at Front Wave Arena on Sunday. But Chromaniacs will be back on Thursday with our Picking Up Pieces episode and transitioning into the offseason with episode number 26. But I want to say thank you, especially thank you on this night after this loss. And with Alex not here, to everybody who supports us. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button on YouTube, and you can do that on your way out, really appreciate it. And we're so thankful for the growth of the Chromaniacs audience and the legitimacy of the show. It's really been a great journey for us as well. Tony, what would you like to promote on the way out?
Well, thank you for everybody who's supporting us along the way. SanDiego.Futbol, the brainchild of the love of soccer in San Diego. And that's kind of what's coming out. SanDiego.Futbol on Mondays. 2 balls and a mic. Also, we will have, more than likely, Monday or Tuesday, one more media availability. And that's going to be the exit interviews, essentially, for the players. One last physical, and then they're off for vacation. So that's going to be coming up here later in the week. But other than that, SanDiego.Futbol, that's where we do our thing. And that's where we will continue to do our thing on the road to the World Cup. We have an award ceremony, end of the year ceremony coming up, because it's silly and we like it. But check it out, SanDiego.Futbol.
And congratulations to the Vancouver Whitecaps. Best of luck against Messi and Allende and the rest of the men in pink. See if you can take down the Flamingos next week in MLS Cup. We'll all be watching. But thank you for watching us. For Tony Sanchez, for Alex Pena in absentia, I'm Craig Elston. This has been the Chromaniacs Postmatch Show. Onward Whitecaps, and we are onward into the offseason. Have a great night, everybody.